Good evening and welcome to Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals, public hearing for May 13, 2019. Matter of business, if you have a cell phone on, please place it on vibrate, turn it off, and take phone calls in the hallway. If you wish to speak on behalf of a petition this evening, please come to the lectern, state your name, and sign in for the record. The alternate voting member will be Mr. Mark Breer tonight. Moving forward under new business, ZB 2019-18 for a special permit and variance, Sophie Long and Charinath Long, 376 Wilder Street, section 4.5 and 6.1. The applicant is seeking special permit and variance approval for property at 376 Wilder Street, located in the traditional neighborhood multifamily TMF zoning district. The applicant proposes to convert an existing dimensionally non-conforming single-family dwelling into a two-family home. The applicant seeks a special permit under section 4.5, non-conforming uses and structures, and a parking variance under section 6.1.4, and any other relief required of Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Joseph Boyle. I reside at 54 Laura Street here in Lowell, and I am representing Mrs. Long and Ms. Lang, the owners of the property at 376 Wilder Street. 376 Wilder Street is a single-family home, and they wish to, they're applying for zoning relief to convert it into a two-family home. This is the block just north, a block of Wilder Street just north of Westford Street, in between Westford and Princeton Boulevard. Princeton Boulevard actually dead ends at Wilder Street, three houses up from their property. So from their home, you walk half a block south to Westford Street, and you have Couple Square about 3 blocks to your left, and you have the neighborhood business district of at Stevens Street and Westford Street about 3 blocks to your right. This is a single-family home. They wish to convert to a two-family home under the provision in the zoning which allows the extension of a use in a non-conforming structure by special permit from this board. There is also a parking issue for which we are seeking variance relief that we'll come to later. As the zoning board, as residents of Lowell, you've no doubt seen conversions that are somewhat awkward. A second-story, third-story side window turned into a doorway, and then the staircase winding down around the house like some sort of ramshackle spider. What we have here is very much on the opposite end of that spectrum. This is a property which can be converted to a two-family particularly easily and with low visual impact and in a graceful manner. I believe the house was either at one point a two-family or, like a lot of houses in Lowell, was built as a single family designed to be easily convertible with a two-family. It's got a front staircase and a rear staircase. The rear staircase comes down to a door in the kitchen on the first floor. About 5 steps up from that is a landing. The staircase turns left. That landing is against the rear wall. So the only exterior construction that would be required here is a doorway from that landing to the backyard and then a set of steps down to the backyard. You have the plans before you. You see the proposal. The parking issue. We currently have 4 off-street spaces, which is what is required under the zoning. The zoning, however, does not allow the spaces to be stacked for 2 different units, and this is a single-shot driveway. There is enough space, there is enough room for 4 cars, 1 in the driveway, 1 in the garage, and then 3 in the driveway. But what we are requesting is a variance to allow the second unit to be added without providing that off-street parking, on the grounds that there is plentiful parking available on-street, on Wilder Street itself, which is very sparsely used, and also on Princeton Boulevard, Where it dead ends, there is always off-street spaces available in that location as well. As you consider that request, once again, we are not proposing stacked parking spaces be used to meet the parking requirements here. However, the amount of space in the driveway and the lack of demand for it means that there will be space available in the driveway for situations such as pulling in and drop off and pick up, some sort of emergency situation. And so as you consider the impact of this off-street parking, keep in mind that that impact is being diminished by the availability of this driveway to be used for transient usage. Now, in terms of our application, my client is not a developer. This is not a deep-pocketed applicant. This is a homeowner who is trying to keep a roof over her family's head by providing a rental unit. In the zoning, we request that you allow us to take advantage of the sections which allow for, which allow basically for sketches for in cases of single-family and two-family homes to allow, instead of the stamped engineered drawings, which one would require for a larger or more complicated project, you are allowed to waive those submission requirements. Similarly, for the sign requirement, it's usually required to install a sign at the location where you're applying for a special permit or a variance. There's also in Section 11 a section which allows that to be waived. What we've done instead is tape our plans to the inside storm door, the plans and the legal notice in the same manner that people put their building permits. We think that that is provided for people looking at the site. That's allowed them to see what the plans are without imposing, once again, the costs that the city has, I think in its wisdom, decided to allow these smaller projects, which don't require as much information, to save the applicant a lot of trouble. So if there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. I appreciate the information. That being said, I'd like to open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Vietnam Nguyen. I live in 10 Gibson Road. I'd like to speak in support of this petition. I understand that it's a one-time non-conform single families asking Mr. Chairman and member of the board to convert it into a two-family. Sophia and her mothers occupies that home. They purchased it not too long ago. And all of you been to the properties and you've seen, I know of the tenant who live upstairs, a young couple with one kid. They actually don't have car. I've been to the property. I know Sophia and her mom for some time. So I'm here to speak and support Mr. Chairman, member of the board. While I'm here, Mr. Chairman, I do apologize. I have to run to the subcommittee council thing at Lowell Catholic High School. I also want to express my support as well for the petition to follow the one on Weber. The young man, actually, the young man is like a nephew. What he wants to do is, he already purchased the property about a year already, Mr. Chairman. So he moved in about 2 months ago. What he did was he enclosed that porch, as Mr. Chairman, member of the board probably saw it, enclosed that porch so that he can have a storage there. He's going to be another owner occupies as well. So I want to express my support on the next petition as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, member of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out this evening to speak in front of the zoning board. As a former member of the board, we appreciate your service to the city as well with your other duties.
Thank you, sir.
Now moving forward, any others wishing to speak in favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Boyd, for your summary of the project. As you said and Mr. Nguyen said, I think converting this to a two-family makes sense. That whole, the corridor up and down that neighborhood, it's multifamily, so it makes perfect sense to me. So I wish you the very best of luck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van Mark.
I also look favorably upon the proposal. I think it's a smart use of the property, and the fact that it's an owner-occupied rental property, that's a plus. Also, it appears as though the exterior construction required here is minimal at best, so the overall appearance and character of the neighborhood will remain untouched. And I don't see any parking problem with this particular request, and as a result, I speak favorably.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mark. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions. The applicant, the off-street parking that you're proposing is not shown on any site plan. We don't have any document that shows us how you're accomplishing the 3 spaces outside of the garage. Is that correct?
I believe it's on the lot plan. Let me...
Do you have it? But you don't have a dimension that calls out that that's 66 feet, that calls, or 60 feet.
I apologize, sir. Facing the property, there is a driveway to the right of the structure that runs along beside the structure to the garage near the rear of the property. It is, I believe it is 60 feet of pavement and then the garage, which was just slightly more than required for 3 spaces in a row. It is an existing condition. And I apologize for not including that on the lot plan.
I think you're right, but I would just like to see a document stating how the 3 spaces work according to zoning. So I think as a condition, I'd like to see you submit a revised site plan that documents that the 3 parking spaces outside the garage exist and that the dimensions are 8 by 20. I believe that's what we require, 8 by 20, Patrick?
The length would be 18 feet
18,
long.
8,
Yeah.
that you can show that on the plan, 8 by 18.
And certainly, I'd have no problem with that condition. Frankly, I'm embarrassed that I didn't include it on the submission so far.
Okay, good.
Because we do not have a problem there, and mostly my embarrassment is the fact that I have a very good argument for my client that I apparently didn't present to the board.
I think that you actually have a lot of width there in that side yard.
Yes, there is also the requirement for the setback from the lot line, and there is some green space between the edge of the pavement and the lot line. There is plenty of width. There is, for instance, a set of steps that come down into the paved area.
Okay.
But that we still have all the width we need, even where the steps come out.
Right. I think it's good to try it. For me, I'm glad we're viewing this as a variance rather than another type of variance where you try to do the 8-foot wide spaces parallel and look for a variance for the green space to be
Yes.
not allowed. So I'm glad we're trying to do the stacked parking as a preference. I'd rather see the green space maintained.
That was, yes, Mr. McCarthy, that was first in my mind. I was wondering if we were going to get into this. I do not think, I feel very strongly it would not be in the public interest to require paving over more of this open space, more of this green space to provide parking. I think there's enough pavement in this neighborhood, And I think that the variance is the smarter way to go.
I just want to know what's happening on the third floor. So there's attic access in the unit.
It
And-
is storage. It is not insulated. I have not been up there, but apparently there is wallboard, but it is not considered finished space. It is not living space. It is not part of the second-story unit. It is storage space for the owners.
So the unit itself will have no more than 3 bedrooms?
That's right.
Okay,
The second-floor unit, that's right.
great. I feel better about that.
Yes.
Great, okay. Well, thank you very much. No further questions.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Boyle, for providing the outlines with the best you could do. My concern is on the second floor unit. There's just 3 bedrooms, a bath, a proposed kitchen, and that's it. No common area for like a living room or anything else that, I think the concern being, and I'm not going to say that this is what your clients may happen, or maybe future clients, but maybe becoming some sort of a rooming house area. Because when I see just bedrooms with a bath, like a common bathroom and stuff, with no other common living area, it gives me a little pause. So,
Yeah, in practice, one of those bedrooms will be a living room den type of area for the tenants. It is a single unit. It is a legal bedroom up there, but like in my house, it's technically a 4-bedroom house. The one that's on the first floor we use as the office. And this would be, in practice, it's a comparable situation. I listed it as a bedroom because it would be legally a bedroom.
okay, maybe as part of the condition of, with the revised plan, if you can just kind of outline that
To identify that one of them is a living area rather than a bedroom?
And it gives me a little bit more, like, relief to, there being some sort of, some sort of like layout that there is a living area. Because like you said, like I said, the concern obviously being, I mean.
Certainly. May I have just a moment to confer with my client?
Sure, absolutely.
We have no problem with that condition.
That's fine. Yeah, the other thing with the parking as well, which I'd certainly like to see the layout of that a little bit as well, but because of the stacked parking, normally in these instances, we got 2 units, we want to keep stacked parking dedicated to 1 unit each, so I just wanted to, seeing how that stacked parking is going to be laid out is beneficial.
Our application is not for a variance to allow stacked parking. Our application is, we're requesting a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces required. There will be 2 formal off-street spaces, and we are asking that we be allowed not to provide the other 2 off-street spaces, rather that we meet that with the plentiful available on-street parking.
Okay.
And we're requesting that. In my opinion, as a planner and as a matter of public policy, I think the city is right about the stacked parking, that is not the right way to go. I also don't believe it would be in the public's interest to require the pavement of any part of the backyard to provide additional spaces. I don't think the neighborhood needs more paving. The city's been working very hard to reduce its impervious surface and its stormwater runoff. And, there are options about this. I humbly submit that what we applied for, which is to grant us a variance from the requirement of 2 parking spaces per unit, that if you, in your wisdom, you decide to grant us zoning relief, I would suggest that that is the most prudent variance to provide.
Okay, that actually clarifies it, because I think even DPW in their memo was a little confused on what you were asking for the parking, if I recall, because
Yes.
because it meets other dimensional requirements, but for the stacked
Yes.
parking. So if what you're requesting now is, the reduction of that, I mean, I probably wouldn't have any problems with that, so, but that's all I have, so I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I just have a couple of questions. As it relates to the garage, it's going to remain in place as a usable space
That's right.
for vehicles and storage?
I believe your garage is just storage, right? Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
right now, there's a grand total of one car being parked off-street at this site. They use the garage for storage, and they park in the driveway, and always have plenty of parking available in the driveway for guests.
Okay. And did you state earlier it's going to be owner occupied?
Yes, that is the intention to be owner occupied.
Okay.
It is currently owner occupied, and that's the plan, to keep it owner occupied. For example, just as a way of demonstrating that, their intention is to have both units on one electrical service and pay the bill themselves.
Okay.
That very strongly suggests to me, I submit that that's very strong evidence that the intention here is for it to remain an owner-occupied house.
Thank you very much. As it relates, we have two conditions to which members have requested, looking for provide a document on the revision of the parking plan, and then just to identify in a narrative, one of the single bedrooms will be used as a living area. And those conditions are acceptable to you and your client?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Any other comments by the board at this time?
I just want to say, I'm a little surprised that you're asking us to grant a variance to reduce the parking quantity to 2 parking spaces? 1 per unit? And we have a 3-bedroom unit on the second floor?
Well, now we're having a 2-bedroom unit, but yes. Or actually, I believe the way I phrased it was to reduce the parking, the required parking from 4 to 2, without specifying exactly how you're doing that. In practice, the driveway will be for the owners, and tenants, if they have cars, will be using on-street spaces. That legally. Now, if the owner wants to allow the tenant to park behind her at some point, that's really their business. But in terms of the P's and Q's here before us, the request is to reduce the total parking from 4 spaces to 2 spaces. And we will not be using stacked parking.
All right. So now I'm really kind of struggling to understand how the parking on the street works, because your lot's only 50 feet wide. And so that really only allows 1 parking space in front of your property on the street.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're relying on another parking space on the street in front of someone else's property.
In front, yeah. In particular, it would be, where I always park when I visit the property is on the end of Princeton Boulevard. It is 1, 2, 3 houses up and across the street. And it actually has a marked parking lane on the side. It is in front of the, is it Willow Manor? The nursing home. And there are always a few cars parked there, but several spaces available, and spaces available right up by the intersection. Usually what I do is every time I've gone there, the last space before the stop line has been available, and I park there. That's the most convenient place when you're going to the property. If this board, in its wisdom, feels that it would prefer to grant the relief necessary for this project in terms of granting a variance from the rule against stacked parking, I will not put up a fight. We had to submit a variance from something. That is the one that we've submitted.
Frankly, I like the idea of being able to accomplish your parking at your property and having 3 spaces available in the driveway and 1 in front of the house for the tenant. Feels better for me personally, rather than relying on someone else's frontage on the street to be available for your tenant to have the second space. And this is not this neighborhood isn't super dense, but your lot's only 50 feet wide. A lot of these lots are only 50 feet wide. So it's kind of dense, you know.
If,
It's kind of dense.
and if the entire neighborhood, and if all the parking was in front of 50-foot wide house lots, I would agree very strongly. It's the opportunity provided on Princeton Boulevard by a very different use, by a very large assisted living nursing home type of use, which doesn't, which has very low parking demand per resident because it's a nursing home. That suggests to me that it would be prudent to allow for on-street parking where it wouldn't be if that on-street parking was in front of somebody else's house. Yeah, I very much take your point about parking in front of somebody else's house, and that's why the situation on Princeton Boulevard is relevant here.
I'd like to hear from the rest of my fellow members if everyone's okay with this tenant spaces in front of other people's property is kind of what we're ending up with here as an answer. I'm not quite as thrilled about it, even if it is a nursing home. The nursing home has a right to have visitor spaces on the street too.
Yes.
Yeah.
The nursing home has an off-street parking lot, which is never more than half full, as well as having those on-street spaces. And in terms of timing, the parking demand for a nursing home and a residence, a private residence, is very complementary because the parking demand at the nursing home is during the day shift, whereas most of the parking demand at a residence is in the evenings and on weekends.
I'm not sure. I know I visited my father in the evenings most of the time when he was in nursing home.
So, yeah, certainly, but most of the parking demand produced by that use is staff. You can see that by the from the cars.
I'm willing to listen to any comments from my fellow board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
I'm Patrick. So if we grant the relief of reducing the parking, that runs with the land now, so if the owner sells the property to someone else, then that just goes with the next person. So they would have to come back before us for any other dimension, any parking relief in the future if that would be the case, right?
If they weren't changing the use, no, they wouldn't have to go back.
Yeah, 'cause they conform at this point right now.
Right.
Yeah, so. Yeah, that's starting to give me a little pause too, Mr. Boyle, because, not just because, I understand what you're trying for your client, what she's trying to accomplish, but we also got to look at the future, and if the property ever gets sold to another third party who wants to do something different, then we have to change it. So, but right now you're conforming, so it's kind of, yeah, it's. I don't like the stacked parking thing, but I mean, again, you are currently in conformance with the zoning code, so, I like to, but, no, I don't know. I listen to my other fellow board members, but now I'm rethinking the whole thing, so, but, unless you give me some reason why, other than, I don't know.
Well, it occurs to me that in terms of the permit that this board would actually issue, the difference between whether you are recognizing that space in front of, Mr. McCarthy, so I'm understanding, are you suggesting that the board authorize a stacked parking space to meet one of the space requirements?
So what I would suggest, if you want to entertain it, is that we grant a variance for 3 stacked parking spaces in the driveway and a reduction in off-street parking to 3 spaces for the 2-family. Something to that effect, Patrick? So it wouldn't be a reduction from 4 to 3 with the 3 stacked parking space in the driveway.
You'd still be requesting a variance of 1 space.
A variance of 1 space, but we'd be looking at 3 stacked spaces in the driveway.
So that would be a variance from the parking table to reduce it by 1 space, and a second variance from the section that says no stacked parking. Absolutely, the decision between that versus reducing it by 2, as I put in the narrative, in choosing between those two, I defer to the wisdom of the board.
You could also look at utilizing the garage in full.
That's true.
Yeah, yes, certainly. It still doesn't get us out of this particular question because that's a stacked space too.
But it does,
The
it
question
does
is-
decrease the off-street parking, so. What Mr. McCarthy has brought forward was actually it's a change in your variance. It does provide an alternative solution to your need as far as the parking goes. I know your intent wasn't to come in here and discuss stacked parking, but we now are aware that we only have that 50 feet in front, and it really precludes the 2 off-street parking in front of your own dwelling. So I think that's the most viable at that point. That's how I'm looking at the alternative solution that Mr. McCarthy has brought forward. If the remaining board members have a comment or can just share their thoughts on this, and then I would yield to DPD. Would we have to change the variance application, or could we amend it?
I think you could amend it.
Okay. So any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, sir, I do agree with your comments, sir. You have the 3 stacking in the driveway for the parking, and then utilize the intent use of the garage as another parking space, so that then the question of the parking, would be resolved. So those are just my comments. I thought that was a good suggestion.
Thank you, Van. Sean?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Dennis's solution. It seems like a fair compromise on that, so I would go with that, so thanks.
Thank you, Sean. Mark, do you have any comments or concerns with the,
No, I'm really not concerned with the parking in this area.
okay,
3 in the driveway, 1 in front, there's your 4, end of discussion.
all right. As far as you're concerned.
And in practice, gentlemen, the actual parking demand for this house is 1. There is the owners park in the driveway, and there has been no other park, and there is no other parking demand for, anticipated. Having been on the board myself, I realize that you can't make your decisions entirely based on what the current ownership and tenancy situation is, because things can change in the future. I'm just giving you a little background.
Thank you. We're looking at 2 current conditions and an addendum to your applications. So we've already agreed and discussed that you will provide a document that will revise the parking to a stacked parking, which will amend the variance, and then we will look at identifying a new narrative to coordinate the reduction in bedroom from 3 to 2 with the living area.
That's
Are you in agreement with that? Any comments or concerns by any of the board members? That being said, may I have a motion?
Again, with the conditions, Mr. Boyle, just make sure we're clear and your client's agreeable to them. So revised site plan demonstrating outlier parking for 3 stacked, 1 off-street, and revised plans and a narrative identifying living area in the 2nd floor.
Yes.
And your client's agreeable to that?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, Mr. Chairman, on ZB 2019-18, special permit, 2 votes, right, Patrick? Because we have a special permit and a variance?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to clarify, did you say 3 off-street and then 1 on-street?
3,
Yes.
3 stacked off-street, 1 on-street.
Okay, so not necessarily the condition of utilizing the garage.
Inclusive of the garage, yes.
I thought
Gentlemen,
it was,
I can show you 4 stacked parking spaces, 4 off-street stacked parking
That's
spaces. Would you like me to show you that, and we'll count 1 in the garage?
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine. Submitted as requested. Thank you.
That's the, so. Okay. So again, on ZB 2019-18, special permit under section 4.5 to convert a non-conforming single-family to a two-family with the previously mentioned conditions.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Roll call.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve special permit with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere.
Approve with conditions.
Again, on ZB 2019-18, for variance under section 6.1.4 for parking requirement with the previously mentioned conditions.
If I may interrupt, now that we're showing the off-street stacked parking spaces, we need to make a change to the section reference.
Yes, it'll be a written addendum.
Right, we're no longer, I believe that the section of the zoning which it says where that you're issuing a variance to is no longer.
Yeah, so the
5.1.6.
original parking variance requested was under 6.1.4. The new variance in the specific section is actually 6.1.11, number 5.
11.5.
5.
Motion to amend that first and then do the variance, or?
You don't have to because the special permit was
Okay.
fine,
Yeah.
but for the variance.
Okay,
motion,
so for the variance, we'll change the variances under section 6.1.11.5 for parking requirement.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Roll call.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve the variance with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve variance with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the variance with conditions.
Member Briere.
Approve with conditions.
So Boyle, you've been approved. We appreciate your preparedness and working with the board tonight in this negotiation to get both the addendum and the conditions approved. We wish you the best of luck over there.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks for coming
Chairman. I appreciate the board's consideration, and I appreciate you for looking favorably upon projects like this, which attempt to meet the city's growing housing demand in an incremental manner that with minimal neighborhood impacts.
Well, thank you. Moving on to ZB 2019-19 for a variance via Chan at 33 Weber Street, Section 5.1. The applicant is seeking variance approval at 3335 Weber Street, located in traditional neighborhood single-family TSF zoning district. The applicant began enclosing an existing two-story front porch and seeks relief for front yard setback to fully enclose it under Section 5.1, Table of Dimensional Requirements, and any other relief required of the City Lowell zoning ordinance. Is the petitioner here this evening? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Raya. I live on 458 Westwood Street. I'm here to speak for my brother because of the language. He he's the owner of 33 Weber Street. He wanted to close the porch for storage, and that's all. He doesn't want anything else, just for storage only. That's all I got.
So Patrick, if, just for the matter of record, this was brought forward through inspectional services.
Yeah, a building inspector noticed that work was done without a building permit, issued a cease and desist, and the property owner has now requested for this variance to address the issue. So, the existing structure was conforming because the porch, it was a porch and it met the porch setback. The front yard setback for a dwelling is 15 feet. By enclosing the porch, he no longer had that 15-foot setback, which is why he's here today.
Okay, thank you. Currently, you have ceased and desisted any construction, correct, per the order of the city inspector?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarification. That being said, I'd like to move to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of public hearing now is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? in opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Mark? Yeah.
He worked it out
Microphone's
himself.
on.
The homeowner did the work himself?
Yes.
Is that why there was a failure to get the necessary building permits? He wasn't familiar with the process?
No, he doesn't.
Okay, so what are you doing to remedy that by working with the city? You'll get all the necessary building permits, correct?
Yes, yes,
And can we be sure that the footings, which now is going to hold this structure, are adequate?
yes.
Well, I guess the results of that building permit and the inspection will prove that. If you like the storage space, it's your home, but the porches looked a hell of a lot better, I can tell you that. But it's your house. Good luck.
Thank you, Mark. Dennis?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just ask a few questions, but I can understand your confusion because you do look at a lot of neighbors that have enclosed second floor porches, and so there does seem to be a mixed bag there of open porches and closed porches. The bay window isn't being included in the dimension, so the 8-foot 4-inch or 8.4 foot setback doesn't include the bay window, as I understand it.
It normally wouldn't, yeah,
It normally wouldn't.
right. I don't know if this plan, to be honest, did include it.
It didn't.
Okay, so
On
then,
the site plan, it doesn't include it.
okay.
And that's because the bay window doesn't go to the ground plane? Because it doesn't.
Well, we do have a projections, that would be considered a projection setback. I don't know, we actually do have a setback requirement for projections. In the TSF, it's 12 feet. So he would still need a variance.
We don't have a dimension right now as far as what the bay is. The bay looks like it's at least 18 inches, maybe even more. So the dimension's going from 8'4" to, 7 feet or so.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we are including the bay window as the construction if we were to approve this today. Is that correct? The bay window's not changing?
No, the bay window, it's already there. Well, it's not already, he put it there, but I believe it, let me ask him. 1 inch? Yeah. ពីចេញពី wall មក He said it's about 15, 8 inches. It's not a big bay window that's sticking out to the street a lot.
Okay.
And it's still in the distance of his property. It's still on the grass.
So Patrick, as a projection, we're granting a variance for the projection as well then?
Yeah, which is still under a front yard setback variance.
Okay.
The way it's like listed in the dimensional table, it's under front yard setback.
Okay. I wish we had a clearer picture as to what you're building, because I don't know if the drawings really depict accurately how the siding is going to work with the rest of the structure and how everything's going to kind of tie in. Aesthetics are important. I'm glad you have windows and didn't just do blank walls. But I think that as far as the whole design, it's relatively lacking in the drawing as far as the specifics for trim and that kind of thing. I'd like to see a condition that you work with DPD to develop exterior elevations that are, you haven't done it yet, so you still have time to kind of figure out how the siding's going to work, that are compatible with the rest of the architecture of the house. So that the window trim, the door trim, the bay window, how that's finished out, how the whole house is developed, that it makes sense with the rest of the design. Does that work for you? If the rest of the board members were to support that, I think aesthetics are important here, and I just want to make sure that we end up with a design here that looks like it made sense when we're finished.
Okay. So, I don't really understand what you said, but,
So
the siding is gonna be the same as, same as the existing siding? When it's finished, it will be exactly the same, and, it'll be flush with the, existing house?
what you submitted for documents for us to review to grant the variance does not say that. And so I'm worried that we don't have clarity that you are going to develop the facade, because right now, all I have is a simple drawing that indicates 34 by 55 windows, you know? It doesn't tell me how the trim is going to be matching the existing trim. It doesn't tell me how the siding is going to be matching the existing siding. So I would like to see you work with DPD to finish the elevations to be consistent with the existing building design, the rest of the house design. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
If the rest of the board members support it, that's one condition I'd like to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have any questions or concerns. I will say I do, I appreciate the fact that, once you start the thing and you realize you're in violation of the building codes, that you're here to try to make things, to get things, right the ship, which is good. So, I otherwise don't really have any comments or questions or concerns, so thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Ben?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I do agree with my colleagues. I think this variance can be granted. I think you started the work enclosing the deck and the porch and not knowing, all the rules and regulations. So I think coming before the board, going to DPD and the building department, just to make sure you do everything in a safe, and by the books, it's the best route. And I do agree with Mr. McCarthy. Feel free to reach out to DPD and the building department. They're a great asset. They're really helpful down there. So as long as you present the new elevation site plans, so with the facade and the siding is all consistent with the actual building and the existing structure, I'm all for it. So just work with the city and DPD. So I wish you the best of luck. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Van. I echo the comments of Mr. McCarthy. And my original concerns upon review was that we should continue this in order to get the proper plans and a proper understanding of elevations and exterior facade. I will say that I know the board will concur with this. The inspectional services and the city inspector are doing exactly what is required of them. Their due diligence throughout the city not only provides the board and the citizens, but the residents of what the rules and regulations and the requirements are of zoning and building, and I think this is an example of it. And I do thank you and your brother, the petitioner, for complying with the cease and desist order, and then coming forward and going through this process, which is unfamiliar territory for most citizens and can be a little overwhelming. So what Mr. McCarthy is looking for is exactly what I would be looking for. If you do work with DPD, we have a wonderful staff over there. Make the proper changes to your site plan. Submit your plan for the facade and the materials, and the projection variance will follow through. That'll allow all three entities of this situation to work, together. City inspector, yourself as a resident, the board, and as well as DPD. So that is the purpose of all the departments, and in this particular case has boded well. So does anyone have any other comments or conditions? So do you understand at this point, what we're looking for? If you get in touch with DPD later in the week, tomorrow, Thursday, by end of week at the latest, he'll walk, Matt or Jared or any one of our professionals will walk you through what we're looking for. You're definitely gonna have to give us a better plan and elevations than what was previously submitted,
Will do.
okay?
Yep.
Thank you. That being said, may I have a motion?
So I just want to clarify, so the condition is to work with DPD to submit a plan to have the addition's exterior conform with the remaining building.
Correct.
And you're agreeing with that?
Agree.
Okay.
Thank
With
you.
that, through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2019-19 for a variance under section 5.1 for relief from front yard setback for full enclosure of porch with the previously mentioned condition.
May I have a second?
Second motion.
May I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approval of conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve with conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with condition?
Member McCarthy,
Approve with condition.
Member Briere.
Approved with conditions.
You've been unanimously approved. Mr. Chairman, we wish you the best of luck over there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward under special permit, GB 2019-20, B. Kwang Yang at 635 Roger Street, Section 12.4K, Section K. The applicant is seeking a special permit to operate a massage parlor at 635 Roger Street, Unit 11. The unit is located in the Regional Retail RR zoning district and requires a special permit under Article 12, Tables of Uses, Section 12.4, Section K, and any other relief required of the Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening. Mind telling us a little bit about your project and your business plan?
Good evening. Hi, my name is Merrick Lowe, and introduce my fiancee, Bichuang Yang. And because of the language, I'm helping her a bit with this, so please bear with us.
Thank you.
But my Chinese is not nearly as good as her English, to be honest, so.
We'll all work together and we'll get through this petition. Thank you for coming in tonight, sir.
So, we kind of laid it out. Basically, in a nutshell, Bichuang had purchased an existing studio from another Chinese woman who had it operational, it was permitted, and everything was, approved and so on and so forth, with no problems or difficulties, no insurance claims, not a slip or a fall, nothing. And she purchased it and then started to engage in, or was about to engage in business and realized that she had to have additional permits. Spoken to Patrick, who's been helpful and walked us through this and so forth. And so, said she'd already purchased it and so went through to reapply and everything. She's not changing anything from the, no construction, no changes of any kind, really. That was kind of her whole logic, was to buy something completely turnkey. And at the time, she'd asked me about it, and I said, well, yeah, if something's already approved and ready to go, fine, without maybe totally, thinking it through. And she had gone to a situation where now she's, paying, she's engaged in a lease and so forth, and it's, obviously impacted her ability to earn income and so on. So she was just applying to have that use permitted and so forth. And with her thought was it would work out well with us, so that when I'm, my work, I have to travel quite a bit, so that, she can schedule and she can work less when I'm around, and when I'm away, she can work more and so forth. That's the gist of how we got here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that information. That being said, I'd like to open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we're looking to grant a special permit to operate a massage parlor at this address. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And the hours of operation would be between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And would that be 7 days a week?
That will probably vary somewhat with her work schedule or how it goes, but typically, yes.
Okay. Okay. And how many employees are going to be here besides your fiance?
To start, to her.
Just the one? Okay. Terrific. All right, I think that's clear. I just want to make sure that I had that whole picture. Great.
Yes, it's sort of the whole, sort of economical, way of doing things without incurring a whole lot of expense, which I think maybe she might have already, but it's.
Have you operated a massage parlor in the past in another location? Or is this your first location?
No, she hasn't, no.
So this will be the first location? Okay. Well, best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a quick question. One of the requirements that we provided under section 7.4.1 is that the massage parlor must be affiliated and physically located at the same site of several other professions. So, and I noted in the narrative that you said that there are other businesses in that building, a hair salon, massage spa. Is there any, does she have any affiliation with any of those other businesses on the premises?
I don't know of a specific affiliation with anybody else there,
I
per
guess
se.
that's where the question's going to lie, because that's pretty much legal. That might be a legal question, but Patrick, is there any? Do we know of any criteria as to what is affiliated or affiliation means with regards to section 7.4.1?
Yeah, I'm not sure. In the past, we've required a designated or written affiliation. I know we recently had a special permit for a massage parlor a couple of years ago, and I don't think we necessarily required that. I'm not sure, to be completely honest.
I'm not sure either. I don't want this to be a hang-up, but I mean, it's in the code and it's required. So that might be something, I don't know, do we have to get the law department involved, or as far as what the definition of affiliated means, or?
That's something we could do if that's what you'd be interested in.
Maybe that's something, I guess, I'll listen to my other fellow board members, but that's the hang-up that I've got here on this. Otherwise, I think, I probably don't see any other concerns, but I certainly don't want us to, pass something that's in violation of the code, because we don't know what affiliated is. So my suggestion probably would be to continue it and see if we can get an opinion from the law department as to what the definition would be, and then maybe give time for the applicant to look over that definition and see if there's something she needs to do to meet that requirement. I know that would be that's my thought process of this, so. But I'll listen to my other fellow board members, so, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I always think it's a good thing when someone wants to open up a business in Lowell, so I applaud you for that. Since Mr. Callahan brought up the issue, I think that's a valid concern as well for me. Under section 7.4.1, the affiliation, with some kind of medical or health or fitness club or license provider would be needed. I am going to defer to his comments to the law department, and so that you're aware, Mr. Callahan is also an attorney, so he does have some insight into this. So I think I do like Mr. Callahan's comments about maybe we should just wait and see, just get clarification from the law department. But overall, I think if there's no requirement, or if you meet the requirement for the licensed professional medical health fitness connection part, I think this should be fine for me. But so those are my comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Van. Mark?
I think there's further clarification that's needed in the memorandum. Did you receive the memorandum with respect to your proposed business?
Yes, yes, there was
Did you read through the comments?
Excuse me, sir?
Did you read through
Yes.
comments?
Yes, sir.
I too, I'm rooting for, an independent business owner. And I'd like to see this happen, but it appears as though that the two previous occupancy permits that were issued for this particular unit may have been issued erroneously. That hasn't been determined as of yet, because I think that there may be a problem with the section 741 that was alluded to earlier. So with that in mind, I'm not comfortable ruling for or against this at this point until that matter can be clarified. The massage parlor is certainly permitted in the district in which you would like to house it, and does require a special permit from this board. However, there's no record of a special permit ever been issued for those units previously. So that may be an error on our part that we need to resolve before we can assist you with your future business.
Thank you, Mark. Well, sir, as you have explained, this has been a new process for you. Certainly, there's a financial
Yes.
issue here for you to get moving with with the business at hand. I am aware of a massage parlor in the section of the city where I don't see an affiliation to a business over on Lawrence Street. It's in a plaza with, I believe, a travel agency and a diner. So I too am confused when I look at affiliation. Must be within affiliation. I certainly heed the knowledge of Mr. Callahan and his expertise and his concerns, and clearly have the same concerns that Mr. Briere has, that were permits previously issued, were they appropriate? But I also don't think that should be to the detriment of this petition. So clearly, we value everyone's opinions. We always do like to work with the residents and the business owners, and Mr. Briere made it clear he is a proponent, as we all are, of independent businesses staying within the city, paying taxes and the like. So I would like to make a recommendation to the board for thought that continuances are not something I am in favor of. They tend to continue and continue. I certainly would like to hear from the law department for their explanation of affiliation. I would also like to hear from DPD from the previous issuance of permits. But I also think we, in my opinion, and board members can weigh in their thoughts, that we could move forward with a vote this evening with these conditions to be resolved through DPD, and then have an administrative review. Those are my thoughts. I do share each concern as valid concerns. But my thought, in my opinion, that those concerns don't outweigh or should not deter or negate your ability to move forward with your business to recoup finances from inception to date and then move forward to prosper. So if particularly the board members, and if Patrick, you could weigh in on, is that something we could move forward with? Or in the opinion of the DPD, should we make these clarifications prior?
I think you could move forward. I mean, I think one potential resolution is just the massage parlor offering salon services, whether it's nail salon, cutting of hair. That would, obviously, if that's providing it, then it's satisfying the affiliation. So if that was a condition, or if that's something that the applicant is willing to take on, then that could be a potential resolution.
So if, I'd like to go through the board once more and just have the discussion of each of our thoughts and concerns, as well as my recommendations, and how we stand before we do bring to the petitioner their options. So that being said, I'd like to go through the board for any additional comments or in agreeance or not with recommendations. So, Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think you made some great comments, some great kind of options, alternative for you and your business. You know, we can go the route of just voting with all the, you know, with all the things that we've said, and we work out the issue through DPD, and if there's any issues, it'll come back. But, you know, they would work with you and probably the law department just to make sure everything's by code and ordinance. But I also, another option, I like the comments that Mr. Burns made. If you do offer an additional service like a salon, a haircut, a nail, tailing, that could also maybe meet your requirements under Section 7.41 of the affiliation with those businesses. So I'm in favor of going through with the vote tonight, Mr. Chairman, if you and my colleagues are. And if we go through with it, but I also like to encourage, or at least I would like to see the administrative review. I think that's needed, no matter if we vote tonight or, you know, continues to find more information. So those are my thoughts, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van. Mark? Thank you, Mark. Dennis?
I agree that I think we could possibly get an affiliation here somehow with some discussion with the other, but we do need to honor that's required per Section 7.4.1, so I like the idea of moving forward tonight as well. Is the administrative review in 6 months, or is there a time frame that we wanted to put on that?
If memory serves me, we historically have done 6 months review just as a matter of course, but there is no required timeline. We could place a 90-day or a 60-day, whatever is the wish of the board. And I would suggest and think we would want to reduce that time down to maybe a 30 or 60-day review.
After occupancy?
After occupancy.
Right, okay, I agree. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate I do agree with you on your proposed possible solution to this, that we could take a vote today with an administrative review. I think we do have to tailor some conditions very distinctly so you understand what's going to be required of you, because without compliance with that section of the zoning code with the affiliation, you really can't be, you can't be operating your business. And I don't know, maybe that was part of the problem with the prior owner. I don't know. But some of the recommendations were made as far as, maybe you can do a couple things yourself as far as salon work affiliation. I did note that you put in your narrative that there was another salon located in the building, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The nail salons, and there's a massage studio and the hair people down the street. The hair cutting people.
It has to be in the same It has to be on the same property.
Now,
It's required to, so.
but we talked at one point, she was talking about she could potentially have tanning beds.
Okay, well, that's part of it as well.
And that, would-
So-
and that would,
Maybe it'll drum up more business for you too. I mean,
Well,
you're building, your business is expanding even.
she laughs,
rapidly.
excuse my, she laughs a little bit because she is somewhat terrified of the sun.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I tell her she's in the wrong business. She should be in the skincare products business for, how your skin looks,
Yeah,
But I guess that's sort of a cultural thing. But, for people like me who spend too much time in the sun, it's, I just probably fall asleep on the beach. But there are a lot of people that like to definitely tan.
Yeah.
And it could make some extra income.
okay. But I'm in agreement, we can take the vote today with the administrative review. I probably would suggest a 90-day after occupancy, just to make sure we're here in compliance with that section. That section is the most important at this point, and any other items that may come up. So, but I'm in agreement with that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I appreciate each board member with their thoughts and their comments, and that's part of the reason that we're a successful board, is because we work together and we worked with the petitioners. I know I am looking at your, you are registered with the Secretary of State
Oh, yes, she's,
and fully licensed and authorized, so I think if we look at the conditions, we're going to, first and foremost, get a ruling or a decision from the law department what the must-be affiliation would be. And then on your end, work with DPD, make that inclusive into your petition, whether it be future tanning, salon, or spa, and that will satisfy 7.4.1, and then satisfy the concerns of the board. And then on DPD, we will look into what the previous permits were issued, if not issued, so that once this does move forward for you after the administrative review, you're just able to go and run your business and do what you're looking to do, is be a business owner in the city and take care of your clients.
Ooh.
So
What I can just say on DPD's end is I think that occupancy permits may have been issued or were issued for massage parlors, but for some reason it was overlooked to require a special permit for a massage parlor.
we can just make that inclusive of the record, and we'll read that into the record under the administrative review, then we're good with that. And I do agree, I'm comfortable with a 90-day review. Is the remainder of the board comfortable with that as well? Mark? Yeah? Okay. So we are looking at those conditions. We can move forward with a vote. That'll allow you to stay on track with your business plan, get back into what you want to do, is be in business and not be in front of the board. And then we'll be able to take a vote and you can move forward.
so just to be clear, so she could open up and engage in business, and then have the review in 90 days
Right.
to make sure that
Right.
these other conditions we've talked about are in
Yeah.
place and so forth.
So those conditions will go into public record. You reach out to DPD tomorrow. They'll walk you through the process, get you up and running with the occupancy. And then it'll be 90 days after you're open and occupied is when we would do the review.
And then just one thing for the applicant to understand is that an answer may be that your business be affiliated with some service, a tanning salon, nail salon, within Unit 11, within your
Okay, within your
place.
same unit. In other words, like we talked about before, like an add-on business for the nails or for the tanning. Well, we talked about that one previously. The fingernails. I know, you said you're probably not that good at it, but you try. Okay?
And also just so that you understand now before a motion, that would require separate health code permitting to make sure that's, compliant.
Okay. Would that be the same with also tanning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a separate health, so how does she go about doing that? I'm a little confused now.
Within development services.
Yeah, DPD
in our
and the
department.
health department will walk you through all those requirements.
Okay.
Certainly, yeah.
All right.
We're very fortunate in the city. We have very talented staff in all our departments and very willing and able to help our residents and our business owners.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You take advantage of the services that are available to you.
Okay.
So it'll be those conditions and administrative review, and then you can work with DPD. And as Mark did say, we are always advancing and being proponents of businesses within the city. And I think that being said, we could move to, Van, you have a comment?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just have one quick question. How do you go about of getting clients or marketing or promotion, or how do they come about? Is it a walk-in service, or is it like just go through the marketing or client, like?
That's kind of a new thing, but I would say Google. I mean, I'm involved in other businesses, not this business, myself. Like, for instance, I have a son that's involved in the startup excavating business, and, it's like all about Google. As soon as he listed it, it's just like somebody throwing a light switch on,
Okay, so mostly through
I
internet,
think
word of
that's
mouth?
Just like Google
Okay.
or, word of mouth type of thing.
Okay.
Or I think some like I think a lot of our thought also was it like people going to the nail salons and the, you get kind of other traffic that
Sure.
that kind of, comes
Oh,
by.
that see
It's coming to the same place, and if,
see another business that they might want to venture into?
that
Okay,
sort of
I
thing.
was just wondering, so thank you for that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Any other comments or concern? That being said, may I have a motion?
I just want to clarify the conditions and that she's agreeable to them again. So number one is work with DPD on getting the requirements for affiliation under section 7.4.1. Second is to take all required actions to comply with affiliation under that same section. The third one, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned, isn't that more of a DPD, instruction to a DPD to what they're supposed to do, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
that's not a condition, that's
No,
an
it's more
instruction.
informational and just providing with the tools they'll need to move forward.
Yep, and the fourth one is we'll have an administrative review 90 days after occupancy of the business. So if she's in agreement with that, then we can go forward with the proposal.
So, do additional things they talked about, but if I understand it, she can engage in business like tomorrow, next day, or?
So what the roadmap would be if we grant this petition with the conditions that we've set forth, and if she's agreeable to them, speak to the Department of Developmental Services to get an idea of what affiliation is, as far as affiliating with another business, a salon. There's a list of salon, licensed professionals engaging in medicine, chiropractic, osteopathy, and physical therapy, and health and fitness clubs. Those are the three things, and Patrick can provide that to you probably even before you leave, if you can give them before they leave today. Or you should have it in the comments, actually. It was listed in the comments under paragraph 2.
I think I mentioned a tanning salon as well.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's one of the lists there. So you would speak to them so they can give you an idea of what the requirements would be under the affiliation. And once you get that, she has to take some steps to meet those requirements, and then she should be all set after that. That would be my, I think that would be what the roadmap would be.
Okay, so hopefully we get that done like in a week's time type of thing, you think, or I'm just,
Really depending on whether you satisfy the requirements. Well, there's actually a 20-day, I'm sorry, no, there's a 20-day appeal period from when the decision's filed with the clerk's office, which will probably be done within the week. And then after that, assuming you've satisfied all the requirements from building code, health code, then you could begin operating your business.
okay, I think I understand that. So it's 20 days from the time she fulfills or submits this paperwork, I suppose.
When our office
when your
files the
office
decision.
files the decision, okay.
So if you were going to look at a calendar, you'd probably be looking at 30 to 40 days for operations.
Okay.
After we do through get the 20-day period for, as Patrick mentioned, and then 5 to 7 days for us to be filed, you're at 27, and then working with DPD to get the right thing, so you're probably 30 to 45 days out.
Okay.
And don't forget any other requirements that you have to go through the health department if there's if part of the affiliation would be having other operations such as tanning or whatever in the business. So you got to add that into that too, so.
Yeah, I just, well, okay, well, go ahead with that. I just, before she did this, she had actually, showed me the existing businesses, certificate from the town and so forth. And just maybe as a note for future folks, maybe there could be something put on the paperwork that says, something about before you buy something existing that, that it may not be that simple. Best way I can describe it.
I'm a lawyer, and my best advice is going to be talk to a lawyer. Sorry. And unfortunately, I don't deal with that type of law, but I mean, I would probably agree with you on that too. So.
Okay, anyway, okay. Well, you want to agree to that? No? I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to, we spent a lot of time on Google together. You are going to have to do basically either nails or tanning with a massage studio. You offer, so a customer might want to have massage. A customer might want to have nails done. Or
Sir, if you're just going to discuss, you may want to just shut off the microphone if it's going to be, it's because it's going to be on the record, whatever you're saying to her. There's a green button on the, oh, there isn't. Okay, maybe you want to step back a little bit then.
You tell them, say that I know you're shy. She'd like to give it a try.
I was about to say that, if she doesn't, our hands are tied. So this is probably the best, best outcome for that. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion under ZB 2019-20 for a special permit under section 12.4K to operate a massage parlor with the previously mentioned conditions.
May I have a second?
Second motion?
A roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions?
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere.
Approve with conditions.
So you have been approved. Please take your time and get your information and work with DPD and the health department, and they'll walk you through the process. They're very knowledgeable.
Well, thank you very much, and for the opportunity, and we'll get right on that. It's, I'm not so sure the landlord, so we're leaning on as time goes by with the rent, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay. Well, best of luck with your business.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving forward under ZB 2019-21 for a variance, Peter Eliopoulos at 94 Havilah Street, Section 5.1. The applicant is seeking variance approval to construct a 125-square-foot addition to an existing single-family home at 94 Havilah Street. The home is a suburban neighborhood single-family SSF zoning district and requires variance approval under Section 5.1 for the minimum side setback and for any other relief required under Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering and Surveying at 10 George Street, Lowell. This evening, I'm here before you for a variance request on behalf of Mr. Peter Eliopoulos, who is the owner of 94 Havilah Street. And we're here tonight seeking a variance to the side yard setback per section of the zoning ordinance 5.1. And essentially, Mr. Eliopoulos wants to put a 10-foot by 12.5-foot addition off the side of his house. Mr. Eliopoulos has, well, not him directly, but him and his family have lived in this house for since 1950. So they're very much attached to this property. He wants to put a modest addition on the side of his house, more specifically, that's 125 square feet. It's a single-family dwelling with 9,000 square feet of land area, which doesn't meet the lot requirement. And because of that, you know, in regard to a special hardship, you know, his hardship is that he doesn't have enough available land because of the reduced size of his lot. Secondly, the addition itself is extending off of the right-hand side of the house as you're facing the house from Havilah Street. And that addition will be 10.5 feet away from the lot line. And the way that the side setback is that it's 10 some 25. So he will be outside of that 10-foot setback that's normally allowed on the side, but it's because of the 10 some 25 that he's non-conforming, because on the side, on the left-hand side, he's 10.3. So the 10.3 plus the proposed 10.5 only gets Mr. Eliopoulos to 20.8, which is 4.2 feet shy of the 25 required per the zoning ordinance. But it should be noted that that side setback would meet, if it was, it does meet that 10 feet. Secondly, Mr. Eliopoulos has done a lot of awareness in the neighborhood to let everyone know in the neighborhood that his intention is to put the addition on, and he did that prior to coming to see me regarding the addition. So on the side of the addition that's the most affected, that side would be the side at 100 Havilah Street. And there's a letter in the record by Mr. Richard Snyder, who is in favor of the addition. And also, I'd like to note that Mr. Eliopoulos is very meticulous about maintaining his property. So he keeps a nice, clean property. He's obviously friendly with all the neighbors. And that's been shown not only with a couple letters of support, but also a petition that he brought in, which it was nice to see that there was 16 names of people on that petition in the neighborhood in support of the proposed addition. There's architectural drawings within the packet. He's just doing a one-story addition, so it's nothing that's going to fit into that existing home, which is a one-story. And we feel as though it will not be a detriment to the neighborhood. It'll be an improvement to the neighborhood. And it's also going to serve the public good by someone's being able to stay in the neighborhood and put an addition on their home like everyone likes to do. And it's not going to be degrading the intent of the zoning ordinance by granting a variance for that side setback. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As always, we appreciate your well-preparedness, and I appreciate you bringing to the board's attention inside the packet, there's 16 residents, direct abutters within the neighborhood that are in full support of this, as well as Mr. Snyder and Mrs. Snyder, as well as Mary Gambon as well. So everyone has given a positive review on this and made extremely positive comments about Mr. Iliopoulos and his family and their dog Maisie, so I appreciate, and I know the board does, the well-preparedness. And that being said, I'd like to open it up to the public, anyone wishing to speak in opposition. In opposition? In opposition, that portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Sean?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Hammer, thank you for the presentation, and once it's very well put together as always. The relief sought is minimal. No, it's not, only a couple feet here and there, which it will not, certainly won't be a detriment to the neighborhood, and as many of the other neighbors have associated they're in favor of it, so I would be too. So wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
I agree with my colleagues, Mr. Chairman. You know, it's minimal relief, 4 foot or so of relief required. And all his neighbors, all the abutters seem to be on board, and I think it's going to just improve not just his home, but the neighborhood as a whole. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Van. Mark?
To further enhance such a beautiful property is of great benefit to the entire neighborhood, and it appears as though your neighbors enthusiastically agree. So I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Mark. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a few comments here. That I think that what you're doing is really showing some restraint, so you're not asking for a lot. I mean, certainly, I think this is what a variance is for. Your average on that side could easily be called a 25, some 25. We're asking for a variance just for a small 12.5 feet of that whole side. So I definitely think that that's a workable solution here. I'm glad you're not asking for more than that. But it looks like a great addition to the home, so a nice update. So I'm glad you're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, certainly, the property is valuable and maintained, and to Dennis's point, we do appreciate you asking what you need and not what you don't need. I think that just is representative of you and your concern for the neighbors, and we do appreciate that. I did receive a couple calls on this from some of your neighbors. I happen to be one of them. I'm not that far away. I looked at the property, so I do wish you the best of luck. And any other comments by the board? That being said, may I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2019-21 for 94 Havilah Street for variance under section 5.1 for minimum yard setback to construct an addition to a single-family home.
May I have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approved.
Member Peck,
Approve.
Member Callahan,
Approved.
Member McCarthy,
Approve.
Member Briere.
Approval.
Well, you've been
Thank you.
unanimously approved. We wish you the best of luck and enjoy your addition with your family.
Thank
for
you. Have a
coming
nice
in.
evening, everyone.
Thank you. That being said, we have nothing under other business. Any other comments, concerns from any of the board members? That being,
Go Bruins.
no Bruins. That being said, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.